The arena on Vior Prime was the largest in the known galaxy. It could hold 200,000 beings from across the stars. Today, every seat was filled. Species of all shapes and sizes sat together, united by one thing: their love of combat. Giant screens floated above the arena floor, showing the faces of champions who had fought here before. Most of them were dead now. The arena was not a kind place. Yuna stood in the dark tunnel that led to the fighting floor. She could hear the crowd roaring above her. The sound was like thunder that never stopped. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly, just as her grandfather had taught her when she was a child. "Remember," her handler Tysik said from behind her. "They will laugh at you. They will mock you. Let them." Yuna nodded but did not turn around. She already knew what was coming. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only made contact with alien life 15 years ago. To most species out there, humans were nothing special. Small, soft, weak, a curiosity at best. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena. He was a Drixian, a tall creature with 4 arms and scales that glowed different colors when he spoke. His voice was deep and carried across the entire stadium. "Welcome to the 4127th Galactic Arena Tournament," he shouted. The crowd screamed with excitement. "Today we begin the first round. 32 fighters enter. Only one will leave as champion." Yuna listened as he introduced the other fighters. There were Gorthics, massive creatures with bone plates covering their skin and tusks that could cut through metal. There were Valani, thin and fast, with 4 arms that could hold 4 blades at once. There were Keth, covered in natural armor so thick that most weapons could not hurt them. And then there was her. "And now," the announcer said, his voice dripping with amusement, "a very special entry. From a small planet called Earth." The crowd murmured. Some laughed already. "A human female. Her name is—" The announcer paused and made a sound that might have been a chuckle. "Yuna. It means to endure in her language. How cute." The laughter spread through the arena like fire. 200,000 voices found this very funny. A human? In the galactic arena? A female human with a name that meant endure? This was a joke. This had to be a joke. Yuna walked out of the tunnel and into the light. The arena floor was made of dark stone, stained with the blood of countless fighters over thousands of years. The air smelled like metal and sweat. Above her, the crowd was a sea of alien faces, all looking down at her with amusement or pity. She was small. Even by human standards, she was not tall. Her black hair was tied back in a simple tail. She wore a plain fighting suit with no armor, no decorations, nothing that marked her as special. Her hands were empty. On the other side of the arena, her opponent waited. Vral the Splitter was a Gorthic warrior. He stood 3 meters tall and weighed more than 5 adult humans. His skin was covered in bone plates that had turned yellow with age. His tusks were long and sharp, and the edges were stained dark from old blood. He had killed 17 champions in this arena. He had never lost a fight. When he saw Yuna, he laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound that shook the air. "This is my opponent?" He roared to the crowd. "This tiny thing?" The crowd laughed with him. Some spectators were already leaving their seats. They did not want to watch a slaughter. It would be over in seconds. The announcer floated down closer to the arena floor. "Human, you may choose your weapon. We have swords, axes, plasma guns, energy shields. What will you fight with?" Yuna looked up at him. Her face was calm. Her eyes were dark and steady. She raised her hands, palms open, fingers relaxed. "These," she said. The arena went quiet, not from respect, from confusion. Did she not understand what was happening? Did she not see the monster standing across from her? Did she want to die? Vral stopped laughing. His small eyes narrowed. Is this an insult? No, Una said. This is a choice. The announcer looked between them, then shrugged his four shoulders. Very well. The rules are simple. Fight until one cannot continue. Death is acceptable. He floated back up to his platform. A loud horn sounded across the arena. The fight had begun. Vral charged immediately. He was fast for his size, faster than anyone expected. The ground shook with each step. His massive fists were raised, ready to crush the tiny human into the stone. Una did not move. She stood perfectly still, watching him come. The crowd held their breath. Some covered their eyes at the last moment. When Vral's fist was about to hit her, Una moved. She stepped to the side, smooth and quick like water flowing around a rock. Vral's fist hit empty air and crashed into the ground, cracking the stone. Before he could recover, Una was behind him. Her palm struck the back of his knee, hitting a spot where the bone plates did not cover. Vral stumbled. His leg bent wrong. He roared in surprise and pain. The crowd went silent again. But this time, the silence was different. This time, they were watching. Vral turned around slowly. His leg was shaking, but he was not finished. Gorthics were known for their ability to fight through pain. Their bones were thick and their muscles were dense. One small strike from a human should not have hurt him at all, but it did. He looked at Una with new eyes. She stood a few meters away from him, her hands still raised, her breathing still calm. There was no fear on her face. No excitement. Just focus. What did you do? Vral growled. I hit you, Una said simply. The crowd was still quiet. On the floating screens above, slow replays showed what had happened. Una's palm had struck a precise point behind Vral's knee, a small gap between his bone plates where the flesh was soft. It was a spot no bigger than a human fist. She had found it while running and hit it perfectly. The announcers in the broadcast booths were speaking quickly now. Did you see that? The human found a weakness in Gorthic armor. That spot is almost impossible to hit in combat. How did she know it was there? In the preparation room, Tysic watched the fight on a small screen. He smiled quietly to himself. Una had studied Gorthic anatomy for 2 years before this tournament. She knew every weakness, every soft spot, every gap in their natural armor. She had trained against holographic opponents until she could find those spots in her sleep. Back on the arena floor, Vral charged again. This time, he was more careful. He did not swing wildly. He used his tusks, sweeping them in wide arcs that gave Una less room to dodge. She dodged anyway. Her body moved in ways that confused the alien spectators. She bent backward under a tusk swing, her spine curving in a way that looked unnatural. She rolled under his legs when he tried to stomp her. She was everywhere and nowhere, always moving, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. Vral grew frustrated. He was used to enemies who stood their ground and fought back. He was used to breaking bones and cutting flesh. This human was like smoke. He could not touch her. Stand still, he roared. Una did not answer. She was watching his breathing now. His chest was moving faster. His movements were getting slower. Gorthics were powerful, but they burned energy quickly. Their bodies were built for short, violent fights, not long battles. Humans were different. Humans were built to last. Long ago, before humans had cities or machines, they hunted animals by chasing them. Not by being faster, but by being more patient. They would follow an animal for hours, sometimes days, until it was too tired to run anymore. This was called persistence hunting. It was how humans had survived on their dangerous planet. Una was doing the same thing now. She kept moving, kept dodging, kept making Vral chase her. Every few seconds, she would dart in and strike another weak point. A hit to his wrist. A strike to his ankle. a palm against his ribs. None of the hits were powerful enough to seriously hurt him, but they added up. Each one was painful. Each one made him angrier and more tired. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The crowd began to understand what was happening. "She is wearing him down," one broadcaster said in amazement. "The human is not trying to beat him. She is trying to exhaust him." Vrol was breathing hard now. His bone plates were covered in sweat. His tusks felt heavy. His legs were shaking not from pain, but from exhaustion. He had never fought this long before. His previous fights had lasted seconds, maybe a minute at most. "What? Are you?" He gasped. Yuna circled him slowly. "I am human," she said. Vral made one final charge. He put everything he had left into it. His muscles screamed, but he pushed forward anyway. He would hit her this time. He would end this. Yuna did not dodge. She stepped toward him, her body twisted. Her foot caught his ankle and her hip hit his thigh. It was a simple move, one that used his own weight against him. Vrol felt himself falling. He was too tired to stop it. He hit the ground hard. The arena floor cracked beneath him. Before he could move, Yuna was on his chest. Her fingers pressed against a spot on his temple, pushing against a nerve that sent lightning through his brain. Vrol's eyes rolled back. His body went limp. He was unconscious. The arena was completely silent for a long moment. Then someone in the crowd started to clap. Then another. Then 100. Then 1,000. The sound grew until it was deafening. The announcer floated down, his scales flickering with confused colors. He looked at the unconscious Gorthuk, then at the small human standing over him. "The winner," he said, his voice uncertain, "is Yuna of Earth." Yuna looked up at the screaming crowd. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply bowed once, slowly and respectfully, then walked back toward her tunnel. In 100 broadcast booths, commentators were saying the same thing. Who is this human? Where did she come from? And what else can she do? The galaxy was about to find out. The days that followed were busy. Yuna fought 7 more times, and 7 more times she won. Her second opponent was a Villani blade dancer named Kirix. The Villani were thin creatures with 4 arms and silver skin. They moved faster than most species could see. Kirix carried 4 curved blades, 1 in each hand, and he had killed 30 opponents in his career. The fight lasted 8 minutes. Yuna could not match his speed, so she did not try. Instead, she watched his pattern. Every fighter had a pattern, a rhythm they followed without knowing it. Kirix liked to attack in groups of 3. 3 fast strikes, then a pause, then 3 more. Yuna counted his attacks. 1, 2, 3. Pause. She stepped inside his guard during the pause and grabbed his wrist. A quick twist, and his blade fell. Another twist, and his arm broke. Kirix screamed and dropped all 4 blades. Yuna kicked him in the chest and he fell. The crowd cheered. Her third opponent was a Keth juggernaut. The Keth were covered in armor so thick that blasters could not hurt them. They were slow, but almost impossible to stop. This one was named Gorath, and he had never been defeated. Yuna did not try to break through his armor. She circled him for 15 minutes, hitting the joints where his armor connected. The Keth armor was strong, but the joints had to be flexible for movement. She hit the same spots over and over, again and again, until the pain in his joints made it impossible for him to move. Gorath fell to his knees. He could not continue. Yuna won. After each victory, the crowd grew louder. After each fight, more beings across the galaxy tuned in to watch. News programs talked about her constantly. Who was this human? How was she doing this? The answers came from Earth. News reporters traveled to her home country of Korea, a small nation on a peninsula. They learned about the fighting arts that humans had developed over thousands of years. They learned about styles with names like Taekwondo, Hapkido, and Judo. They learned about a history filled with war and survival. But most importantly, they learned about Yuna herself. She had been born in a small town near the mountains. Her family was not rich. Her father had died when she was young, and her mother worked long hours to support them. Yuna had been a quiet child, small for her age, often bullied by other children, thought her grandfather, Dohwan, had changed everything. He was an old man with kind eyes and rough hands. He had been a soldier once, long ago. He taught Yuna to fight not because he wanted her to hurt others, but because he wanted her to never be afraid. Fighting is not about power, he had told her. It is about understanding. If you understand your enemy, you do not need to be stronger than them. Yuna had trained with him every day until he died. She was 16 then. She kept training alone, pushing herself harder than ever before. When Earth joined the galactic community, she saw the arena tournaments and knew what she had to do. Now she sat in her small room beneath the arena, resting before her next fight. Tysic sat across from her, eating something from a plastic container. "The galaxy is watching you," he said. "Good," Yuna replied. "They are starting to respect you." Yuna shook her head. "No, they fear me now." "That is different." Tysic put down his food and looked at her carefully. "What do you mean?" Yuna thought about her grandmother, Yunji. She had been a survivor of terrible times. War had destroyed her home when she was young. She had lost everything and everyone she loved. But she had lived. She had rebuilt. She had smiled every single day until she died at 93 years old. "Fear breaks," Yuna said quietly. "When they stop fearing me, they will forget me. But respect builds. Respect lasts. I want them to see what humans really are. Not just that we can fight, but that we never give up. That we always find a way. That no matter what happens, we endure." Tysic nodded slowly. He had known Yuna for 20 years, since she was a child. He had watched her grow from a scared little girl into something remarkable. But he had never truly understood why she pushed herself so hard until now. "The semifinals are tomorrow," he said. "Your opponent is a Nexari named Korthan." Yuna's eyes changed slightly. The Nexari were different from other species. They had spent thousands of years changing their own bodies, making themselves stronger and faster with each generation. They were the perfect warriors, designed for combat down to the smallest cell. "I know," she said. "He has never lost. He has killed every opponent he has ever faced. The bookmakers say you have no chance." Yuna stood up and walked to the small window. Outside, she could see the alien city stretching toward the horizon. Millions of beings lived there, watching her, judging her, waiting to see if she would fall. "My grandfather used to say something," she said. "He said that the mountain does not move. The river does not stop. But water, over time, can cut through any mountain." She turned back to Tysic. "I am the water." The arena was different for the semifinals. The crowd was bigger, louder, more excited. Every seat was filled, and millions more watched from across the galaxy. 2 fights would happen today. The winners would meet in the final tomorrow. Yuna walked onto the arena floor and felt the eyes of the universe on her. Korthan was already waiting. He was tall and thin, with smooth gray skin and eyes that were completely black. His body looked almost human, but there was something wrong about the way he moved. Too smooth. Too perfect. Like a machine wearing skin, the Nexari had been changing themselves for 10,000 years. They had removed weakness from their bodies, the way a sculptor removes stone. They were faster than any natural species, stronger than most, and they felt no fear, no doubt, no mercy. Corthan looked at Yuna the way a scientist looks at an insect. "I have studied you," he said. His voice was flat and cold. "You are clever. You find weakness and use it. But I have no weakness." Yuna did not answer. She was studying him too, looking for the patterns, the rhythms, the gaps. But she could not find any. His stance was perfect. His breathing was controlled. His muscles were relaxed but ready. For the first time in the tournament, she felt doubt. The horn sounded. The fight began. Corthan moved. He was faster than anything Yuna had ever faced. One moment, he was across the arena. The next moment, his fist was hitting her chest. The impact threw her backward. She flew through the air and crashed into the ground, rolling several times before stopping. Pain exploded through her body. She could taste blood in her mouth. The crowd gasped. Yuna pushed herself up slowly. Her chest hurt with every breath. Something might be broken. She did not have time to check because Corthan was already coming again. She dodged the first strike. She blocked the second. But the third hit her shoulder and she heard something crack. Her left arm went numb. She stumbled back, trying to create distance, but Corthan was everywhere. He hit her again and again. Each strike was precise and powerful. He was not angry or excited. He was simply doing a job, breaking her down piece by piece. "You should surrender," Corthan said. "You cannot win. Your body is too fragile. Your species is too young. You do not belong here." Yuna fell to one knee. Blood dripped from her mouth and her nose. Her left arm hung useless at her side. Her vision was blurring at the edges. Every part of her body was screaming at her to stop, to give up, to rest. She thought about her grandfather. She thought about her grandmother. She thought about all the humans who had survived. Impossible things throughout. History, wars, diseases, disasters. Humans had faced extinction many times, and they had always found a way to keep going. Yuna stood up. Kor then tilted his head, confused. "You should not be able to stand." "My name," Yuna said slowly, painfully, "means to endure. Did you think that was a joke?" She raised her one good arm. Her hand was shaking, but her eyes were steady. Corthan attacked again. Yuna did not try to fight back. She only defended, blocking what she could, dodging what she could not block. She let him hit her when she had no choice. Each hit hurt. Each hit made her weaker. But she did not fall. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then 5. The crowd began to notice something strange. Corthan was slowing down. His movements were less smooth. His breathing was faster. The Nexari had designed themselves to be perfect warriors, but they had made a mistake. They had focused on power and speed, not endurance. Their bodies burned energy quickly. In a short fight, they were unbeatable. But this fight was not short. Yuna kept moving. She kept breathing. She kept standing. Corthan's strikes became wilder. He was not thinking clearly anymore. His perfect body was failing him. He had never faced an opponent who simply refused to break. "What are you?" he gasped. Yuna saw her moment. Corthan's arms were slowing. His guard was dropping. She stepped forward on legs that felt like stone and struck. Her heel hit his knee. Her elbow hit his stomach. Her palm hit his temple. 3 strikes in 1 second, each one hitting a spot that her body remembered even when her mind was foggy with pain. Corthan's eyes went wide. He tried to raise his arms, but they would not move. He tried to step back, but his legs folded. He fell to his knees, then to his face. He did not get up. The arena was silent. Then someone started shouting. Then everyone was shouting. The noise was so loud that Yuna could feel it shaking her broken bones. She stood over Corthan's body, swaying slightly. Her vision was getting dark around the edges. She could not feel her left arm at all anymore. But she was still standing. The announcer's voice cut through the noise. The winner is Yuna of Earth. She advances to the final. Yuna looked up at the crowd. 200,000 alien faces were looking back at her. Some were cheering. Some were crying. Some were simply staring in disbelief. She had shown them something they had never seen before. Not strength. Not speed. Not skill. She had shown them what it meant to never give up. Then her legs finally gave out and she collapsed. But she collapsed with a smile on her face. Yuna woke up in a medical room. Machines beeped around her. Her body was wrapped in bandages and strange devices hummed against her skin, pushing healing energy into her broken bones. Tysic sat next to her bed. His eyes were red like he had not slept. "You almost died," he said. "But I did not," Yuna replied. Her voice was rough and weak. "The doctors say you should not fight tomorrow. Your body needs weeks to heal, not hours." Yuna looked at the ceiling. She could feel her bones slowly mending, helped by alien medicine that was far better than anything on Earth. It was not enough. She would be weaker tomorrow than she had ever been. "Who won the other semifinal?" she asked. "A Vorn general named Axith. He's old but experienced. He has fought in 3 wars and won this tournament twice before." Yuna nodded slowly. She knew of the Vorn. They were a warrior species, but not like the Nexari. They believed in honor and respect. They fought because it was their way, not because they enjoyed killing. "I will fight," she said. Teus Ik did not argue. He knew it would be useless. The next day, Yuna walked into the arena one final time. Her body was held together by bandages and medicine and pure stubbornness. Every step hurt. Every breath was painful. But she walked with her head high and her eyes forward. The crowd was quieter than before. They had watched her nearly die yesterday. They knew she should not be here. But here she was. Axith stood in the center of the arena. He was large for a Vorn, with blue-gray skin and 3 eyes that glowed faintly yellow. His body was covered in old scars, each one a story of survival. He wore no armor, just like Yuna as she approached. He spoke quietly so only she could hear. "You are injured." "Yes," Yuna admitted. "You cannot win in this condition." "Maybe not." Axith studied her with his 3 eyes. "Then why are you here?" Yuna thought about the question carefully. She thought about her grandfather, who had taught her to fight. She thought about her grandmother, who had taught her to survive. She thought about Earth, a small blue planet that most of the galaxy had never heard of until now. "I am not here to win," she said. "I am here to show them who we are." Axith was silent for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I understand. I will not hold back. I would not want you to." The horn sounded. The final battle began. Axith fought with the skill of someone who had spent a lifetime in combat. His strikes were heavy but controlled. His defense was solid but not rigid. He was everything a warrior should be. Yuna fought with everything she had left. Her injured arm screamed with every movement. Her broken ribs shifted with every breath. But she did not stop. She could not stop. They traded blows for 12 minutes. It was not the fastest fight or the most violent fight, but it was the most beautiful fight the arena had ever seen. 2 warriors from different worlds and different species, giving everything they had. The crowd watched in complete silence. They understood they were seeing something special. Finally, Yuna saw her opening. Axith's guard dropped for just a moment. She stepped in and struck, her palm hitting the side of his head. He stumbled, but did not fall. His hand caught her wrist. For a moment they stood frozen, both too tired to continue. Then Axith released her and stepped back. He lowered his arms. "I yield," he said. The crowd erupted. Yuna stared at him in confusion. "Why?" she asked. Axis smiled, an expression that looked strange on his alien face. Because you have already won. Not this fight. Not this tournament. You have won something more important. He turned to the crowd and raised his voice. Look at this human. Look at her. She is broken and bleeding and barely standing. But she is still here. She is still fighting. This is what her species is made of. Remember this day. Remember her name. He turned back to Yuna and extended his hand. Yuna looked at it for a moment, then took it. His grip was warm and strong. The announcer floated down, his scales glowing with excitement. The champion of the 4127th Galactic Arena Tournament is Yuna of Earth. The crowd roared. 200,000 voices screamed her name. Across the galaxy, billions more watched and cheered. But Yuna was not thinking about the crowd or the cameras or the billions watching. She was thinking about her grandfather, who had believed in her when no one else did. She was thinking about her grandmother, who had taught her that survival was the greatest victory. She was thinking about Earth, her small blue home, and all the humans who had endured so much to bring her to this moment. She raised her hand, and the arena shook with noise. But the noise was different now. It was not mockery. It was not laughter. It was respect. The announcer had ridiculed her name before the first round. The crowd had laughed at her and expected her to die. But she had shown them something they would never forget. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the fastest or the smartest or the most powerful. But they had something else. Something that could not be measured or designed or improved. They had the will to endure. And in a galaxy full of warriors, that made them the most dangerous species of all. Yuna stood in the center of the arena, broken and bloody and victorious. Behind her, the screen showed her face across 1,000 worlds, and nowhere in the galaxy was anyone laughing at her name anymore.